As the bombs fall on the Gaza Strip, homes collapse, lives are shattered. But behind the smoke and rubble lies a corridor of profit. Who is really winning in this war? The soldier, the state, or the corporations, financiers, and nations setting the rules of destruction and reconstruction? Today, we dive into the true beneficiaries of the Gaza war, the names, the numbers, the mechanisms. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell, because what they don't tell you may shock you. The Gaza Strip has faced catastrophic destruction. According to UN and World Bank assessments, the rebuilding needs are estimated at $50 to $70 billion over the next decade, with around $20 billion required in the first years alone. Infrastructure, homes, hospitals, schools, collapsed or severely damaged. The combination of war, blockade, and crisis has shrunk Gaza's economy dramatically. When destruction becomes massive, the stage is set not just for humanitarian aid, but for a vast reconstruction economy. Arms, defense, and equipment. One of the clearest sets of winners are major arms companies. For instance, BAE Systems, UK, reported underlying profits of £2.7 billion on sales of £25.3 billion in 2023, a boost driven in part by increased demand owing to the Gaza war and other conflicts. Elbit Systems, Israel, reported revenue of $1.6 billion in Q4, with orders backlog at $17.8 billion in 2023, citing increased ammunition sales to Israel for the Gaza conflict. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, SIPRI, the top 100 arms producers globally reached $632 billion in revenue in 2023, up about 4.2%. Year-on-year, with an 18% rise in revenues for 6 Middle East-based companies to $19.6 billion. Israeli companies alone hit $13.6 billion in arms revenue. These are not marginal numbers. They illustrate that war fuels demand for weapons, and those who supply them profit significantly. In some cases, companies linked to surveillance, bulldozers, or heavy machinery used in demolition are also flagged. For example, equipment makers whose machines are used in demolitions have been named in UN reports. Madison RAFAH.org. These are the dark gears of war economy: bombs, tanks, logistics, paid for, supplied, and profiting. Beyond arms, there are secondary yet strong profit centers: energy, logistics, trade. For example, in Gaza, the food import market has shifted dramatically. Private traders' share rose from about 5% in April to 60% by August-September in 2024, according to Israeli military data, as UN aid faltered. Private operators import, mark up, and distribute goods at high cost to civilians. And in infrastructure, some heavy machinery firms are implicated for supplying equipment used in demolitions of homes and farmland in Gaza and occupied territories. The point: war triggers not only the weapons business, but an entire ecosystem of high-cost logistics, rebuilding materials, supply chains, energy diversification. And those flows create winners. While destruction is underway, the next phase is rebuilding, and that means contracts, investment, infrastructure. A notable case: a plan reportedly prepared by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, GHF, listed over 25 global companies, Tesla, Amazon, TSMC, IKEA among them, as potential participants in great trust for Gaza's rebuilding. Many had not given permission or denied involvement. This signals how reconstruction is being framed as a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. Contractor firms in building, power, ICT, telecom, transport stand to gain. The question is, who controls it, under what terms, and who really benefits? Estimates put the rebuilding need at tens of billions of dollars, a stage where large corporations and international investors may move in. So, when a war ends or is paused, the rebuilding begins, and the real winners may not be the local people, but those who secure the contracts. Governments play central roles in this economy. The United States continues to supply Israel with military aid, enabling large arms contracts. Some sources estimate tens of billions of dollars in U.S. aid since the escalation in 2023. Gulf states and regional players like Qatar, Egypt, Turkey are involved too, as financiers, mediators and potential reconstruction partners, thereby gaining diplomatic leverage and economic influence. Thus, the war feeds into a cycle. States fund arms, corporations supply arms, destruction occurs, reconstruction contracts await, and states, investors again step in. In this cycle, power, money, and influence circulate, often far from the people suffering the consequences. The economic and political logic. If we ask, why does the war drag on? The answer lies partly in the economics. When destruction yields future profit, reconstruction, new markets, control of infrastructure, there is less incentive among certain parties to bring it to swift conclusion. Some states and corporations benefit from maintaining instability, higher defense budgets, arms sales, strategic influence. Reconstruction looms as a major prize for those who win the contracts, so the cycle of destruction plus rebuilding becomes an economy in itself. Thus, the war persists not simply for ideology or strategy, but in large part for economic and power markets behind the scenes. The Gaza war is not just a humanitarian tragedy. It is also an economic machine with winners and losers, visible and invisible. We have named some of the winners: major defense firms, heavy equipment manufacturers, logistic traders, international states. But the real cost is borne by the people of Gaza. Homes, futures, livelihoods destroyed. If you want to see the full list of companies, the data sheets, the links to the reports, subscribe, hit the bell, because on this channel we expose the hidden economy of war. Thank you for watching. Stay aware. Stay engaged.